today I am very pleased to have as my guest my co-worker in crime, I like to call him here, Cara, who is our sports director. He is also the man behind Out of Left Field. He does so many things here. He makes my show possible, our show possible, SSPTV Community News. We couldn't do it without him. But he is also, in case you haven't known, because you've done segments in the past, you are, as Sam Lassant Jr. said, our space enthusiast. So I guess that's your title today. You're always out with your telescope in your yard and looking at the stars and the moon and the planets and everything else. But you went and actually saw the solar eclipse on April 8th. So tell us, where did you go and what did you do?
Yeah, space enthusiast, not expert. So everything I say you can Google, and I would double and triple check. And no, it was incredible, Lisa. We went to the Path of Totality, me and my wife, since 2017. We did a segment. I remember I went up and I covered it for the TV station here, and we did it at Penn State Hazleton. And it was wonderful seeing that partial eclipse. And I was just getting into that hobby at that time. And I remember thinking, I have so much more equipment now. Right after that happened, I told my wife, I said, let's book a hotel now. And she thought I was crazy. We didn't. We waited till January, randomly looked around, and we picked Watertown, New York. Now, you know what? Nice little town. Reminded me of Hazleton. I'm not just saying that because we're on the Hazleton station here. It's a smaller city, like 25,000 people. The night before, we went to a Pink Floyd cover band concert, and it was in this nice little auditorium. And I thought, oh man, if there was a Path of Totality through Hazleton with us having the Wiltsey Center or the high school, we could do this. But it reminded me of that, and a lot of friendly people who were just excited to be hosts to all of these people flooding in to see totality.
Now, before we get into what exactly Kenny did, I guess give us a little lesson on what the solar eclipse was.
Well, it's incredible. Every time there is a new moon, technically we have this setup, but we don't have an eclipse because the moon's orbit is kind of on an angle. So every now and then you will get everything to line up properly, the Earth, the moon, and the sun, and you'll get a total eclipse. And that's what happened this time, where the moon, I believe, again, Google all of this, but I believe the sun is 400 times larger than the moon, but the moon is 400 times closer to us. So it just works out that they're able to block each other out totally. And the moon's able to block out the sun totally. And you get to see the corona of the sun, this really, really hot atmosphere of the sun that's like 2 million degrees Fahrenheit, something ridiculous, it's hotter than the sun's surface itself. So to see that for a few moments, something you would never see, is incredible enough. But then to see all the other effects and what else happens is just as cool. And especially when you do this hobby like amateur astronomy, you want to see new things all the time. And I got to see some new things. First time seeing the corona. I got to see a solar prominence on the sun as well. So it was a neat experience.
What was the atmosphere?
You know, when you're somewhere for a call, we were just talking about Billy Joel, and you said you've been to 5 Billy Joel concerts. You go to Penn State games, you go to a sporting event. Whenever you're with a group of people for something common that people are excited about, there's always an energy. And when it's something like this that's once in a lifetime, there's even more. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if it makes people nicer or if it's just nice people attracted to. Everybody was just in such a good mood, excited for what was to come, and the atmosphere was incredible. Leading up to the eclipse, that day, my poor wife, we sat in a field next to our hotel. We didn't go to like a big celebration or anything. They had a little field next to our hotel. There were other people out there with us, but for hours we were out there even before the eclipse started. Clouds started to move in right around totality. So I have this is one of my telescopes here, not the one I took photos with, but I had a nice little solar filter like the one you see here. And as clouds were moving in, it gets harder and harder to track the eclipse because it's getting darker and darker in my telescope. And I had a DSLR camera attached to my telescope and I had my little tablet where I could see things. And I was losing the sun. I was starting to panic. I was like, I can't see it. Totality is going to happen. I'm going to lose it. I started freaking out. And I didn't even notice. This is why it's good to stay in the moment sometimes. I started getting really cold. And I said to my wife, I was like, would you mind running to the car and getting my jacket? And I, not thinking, even though I knew this was going to happen, temperature dropped. And I was freezing. And I threw on my jacket trying to line up this eclipse. And it was so cool. I did eventually line it up and see that little sliver just disappear, and getting to make the call out and just like yell to everyone around me, totality, this is it. And you can't describe it. I knew what to expect. I watched a 3 hours of NASA coverage for this in 2017. Knew what to expect, and my mind was still blown. I couldn't even describe what the light looked like to you. I remember purple. I remember the color purple because we saw it through clouds, and it's obviously very twilight. When you're there, it does get dark, but I remember the color purple, looking up and seeing totality. I don't know if it was an eclipse thing. I don't know if it was because I was sleep deprived, but it was beautiful. The birds, there were a bunch of birds, flying around, not knowing what was going on. Seeing that was pretty neat as well.
Now, were you wearing the glasses while you were trying to shoot this?
No, because I mean, whenever I wanted to look up at the sun, I had my glasses, but I mostly stayed in my telescope and tried my best to, get as many shots as I could. I got one good shot, and it's out of focus. It is what it is, because I wanted to spend some time and enjoy it with my wife and enjoy the moment. And that's my big advice whenever people ask me about this. Well, people told me too. They said, don't go crazy just shooting photos. You have 3.5 minutes, enjoy it. And I did. Me and my wife got to enjoy some time just standing there looking at it. And I did get one photo that was passable. And when I got back, I'm like, I did something wrong, obviously. And it was a little focus issue because the clouds, we were lucky because the clouds really moved in, and trying to focus it and line it up was a real challenge. But hey, I was glad I got to come home with one semi-okay souvenir. And yeah, go to nasa.gov or something and check out their photos because they're incredible.
And if you're wondering, this is a replica of Kenny's dog,
That's
Ashton.
little Ashton right here looks just like him. Was a Christmas gift for my wife. And anytime we could get any likeness of Ashton on television, we do it.